Hey everyone, my name is Rooster and welcome back to Mechabellum. In today's video, I'll be defending. I know that usually you guys see me play aggro, but every now and then I also like to defend or play a bit of a different game, and that's exactly what we're going to have here today. I'll be up against the best player from Down Under, Dillo, fellow streamer, go check him out, and he'll be picking the Giant Specialist in this particular game with the Fang and Sledgehammer opener. Now for myself, having a look at these packs, not a big fan of Sabertooth, so I didn't want to be playing that. And I was thinking, well, maybe the Mustang pack, but I'll end up going for something a little bit safer with the Hounds and Stormcallers. I have a decent amount of hit points too. I think a lot of Stormcaller packs these days have very few starting hit points. And, well, with the tricky matchups they can have, I don't usually like them, but 4,500 is plenty. I'll have that Marksman available on round 2, and we start with the Hounds. And I'm just going to be setting up here for a long-range game. Looks like Dillo is going for a little bit of a different thing here. We can call this maybe mid-range. He's a little bit further forward than you would typically expect from a standard game. And goes for the double crawlers on this particular round. I decided to go for Fangs. I already have the Hounds that are decently fast, 10 meters a second. They should be able to get in front of the Storms, and then the late Fangs will protect the towers adequately. At least a bit better in my opinion here than something like the Crawlers. And here we go. Hounds will connect with the Crawlers. Obviously we can't quite one-shot them here. That would require an attack enhancement on the tower. And, well, no defense enhancement from my opponent. But we have at least dealt with the Crawlers from the looks of it. And now it's going to come down to a Fang v Fang fight. And then Stormcaller versus Sledgehammer. Whether or not we manage to do this, I don't quite know. We've got some Fang packs still moving in. Left side looks good. We'll actually get rid of the Sledgehammers. But now, can our Stormcallers hit their targets? Looks like they kind of can, but the tower falls, and so the debuff makes things a little bit more difficult. But by the end, it does look like at least 2 Storms will survive. So very even round, pretty much a stalemate there. And now round 2, we get our Power Spike. Level 3 Marksman is available. Photon Coating shows up. Laser Sight as well. And here I'm wondering, well, do I really need the Laser Sight? It's usually an insta-pick, but I was wondering what I'd want to throw it on, because I don't think my Marksman really needs it. And my Stormcallers already have 180 range as well. So maybe it's just better here to skip. Have at least 400 resources. I'll have 450, of course. But have 400 available to be able to buy 2 200 cost units. And so that's what I'll eventually go for. Even though I do think Laser Sight is a fantastic item, I didn't really have a place for to put it. So we're just going to go for Double Storm. And I wanted to try this out. I haven't done this in a long time. But I thought into this board it'd be pretty good. Now, at the same time, I get flanked and also attacked from the left diagonal here with a newly bought Phoenix, which Dillo did pick up the Laser Sight. And, well, I mean, the pull here is beautiful. Opens up the tower perfectly. The Phoenixes will connect. And I will get debuffed. Sadly, my Marksman here will be going down, but at least it is to the Crawlers, so it's not the worst thing in the world. But with 9 seconds of debuff, this is certainly not looking good. The Crawlers are very annoying. Maybe if they were gone, we'd have a bit of a chance. But yeah, the Sledgehammers are just going to be walking in. The Crawlers will take the second tower. And so Dillo strikes back immediately. And does so in force. Round number 3, we get unit reinforcements here. Now, Raiden looks pretty good into the enemy Sledgehammers. However, Wasp is offered, and I don't really have a good way to deal with Wasps currently. I only have a couple of Fangs and I don't really trust them. So, expecting him to go for the Wasps, and also the fact that I have this Crawler that needs to be dealt with, I pick up the level 2 Wraith. Because I think to myself, well, that Phoenix is on the flank. He does run Jump Drive, which he picks, but if he picks Jump Drive, it'll be a lot more difficult for him to get into Phoenixes because, well, his other techs are more expensive. And so maybe this Wraith is just going to be completely fine and be able to deal with whatever is coming. And I was pretty happy to know that indeed Dillo does go for the Wasps, covers the flanks with it. These units are great at doing that. And, well, I do the same, but with a Wraith. Equally very strong flank defender, hard to deal with. And that protects us against a potential crawler flank on the other side. We also pick up 2 more fangs on the outsides, kind of trying to prevent some missiles, trying to prevent attacks from the diagonal like we had last round. And it does seem to be that Dillo doesn't try his luck a second time. We'll just put the Phoenixes back on his normal board and picks up more sledgehammers. So Raiden here definitely could have worked as well, I think. But of course I didn't know more sledgehammers would be picked up. We also see Dillo unlock an Overlord there at the end of his round, making use of his giant specialist. But let's see how this goes. The only thing that can really take down my Phoenixes at this moment are the Phoenixes. So if I can get rid of those, then I should just win the round by default. Left and right side looking great. We are walking straight into those wasps. So I definitely think that I got the better end of the deal, picking this unit from the unit reinforcements. But at the same time, I kind of might need my marksman here as well. The sledgehammer has picked up a level, and, well, that's making it a lot tougher for the Stormcallers to take them down. But we will do so. However, level 2 sledgehammers and Phoenixes, they do take down the tower. And as they take down the tower, they also take down my orange man. Apologies. Still have a little bit of a lingering cough, which I can't wait to get rid of, but every now and then it still shows up. Either way, round number 3, we do pick up the win. Our Wraith prevails. Very happy with that pickup. And then round 4, nothing too interesting shows up in here. And I'll quickly go for a skip. Don't need the subsidized crawlers. I don't have crawlers, and supply to me is too late on round 4. I'm already not a big fan of it on round 3, but round 4 I pretty much will never consider it. Lots of levels there being picked up for Dillo. Has the level on the Phoenixes now, level on the second sledgehammers, and yeah, here we go. That Overlord that was unlocked last round gets picked up this round. And a good thing that he does here, which is something that you can use in your own games, is he's trying to avoid my marksman, right? My strong side is my left side. I've got the leveled Wraith and I've got a level 3 marksman there. And they can be really annoying for an Overlord to deal with. So what he's doing instead is pushing my weak side, which doesn't have those things and only has a level 1 Wraith, to try and grab a debuff, gain experience, maybe get a level, and kind of play a game of asymmetry. I go for a little bit of a missile there, trying to hit the sledgehammer, soften him up, because I do realize that my right side is a bit weak, and ideally I'd be able to stall while my left side is winning. I also do pick up a Vulcan this time around because I'm seeing, okay, opponent has a lot of sledges, I need to do something about that, and a good counter to sledgehammers is Scorch Vulcan. Also, I noticed that my opponent doesn't run armor, so that wasn't really a concern, and Vulcan just seemed like a good idea. Because, well, apart from the sledgehammers, my Shafter wasn't the best either. I know that I have Wraith and some Hounds, but ideally I don't want to tech into these Wraith because, well, seeing the Overlord now, that might be a tough matchup. And it's a pretty close affair. Sadly, my marksman does end up going down. And with just the Wraith remaining and it now starting to get in front of my other units, doesn't quite look like we'll be able to take down this Overlord. Let's see. Okay, we get close, and the onslaught of Fangs will actually finish the job, but at the same time, we can see that the Overlord did pick up a level. And that leaves us with unit reinforcements on round 5. Mustangs are available here. Dillo goes for the Rhino, probably expects me to pick the Mustang. I could go for Farseer as well, and that's actually what I do instead. So, I don't pick the Mustang here because I already have the late Wraith, and I wasn't expecting him to go very deep into the Wasps. Like, I wasn't expecting him to double tech, so I think the Wraith was plenty, and the Farseers are slightly better into this board, in my opinion. They're also better into the other drops, like the Rhino, and so you'll see me click EMP, kind of expecting something to get teched. I didn't know precisely he would go for Armor Rhino, but it's likely a tech would come out, and when this only costs 100, I don't really see the downside of it. Now, they are on the inside, so hopefully they'll be able to get to the outside to shut this off, because these Rhinos are hard to deal with. About 60k hit points, I don't have that much DPS on my board, I am starting to work on it. We pick up another marksman. We click the aerial specialization tech. But the rhinos definitely could be a problem. Farseer also good against sledgehammers, so that's very nice. And we are now starting to kind of equalize the board state as we added another Vulcan on the right side as well. And now let's see. Yeah, my Wraith are going to get stuck on those rhinos. And for now, it seems like the Farseer are not going to be helping out. Kind of need those to turn, but the late crawlers coming in are causing issues on the right side. My left Vulcan only dies now, but it's done its job. The right side not looking too great, but hopefully these fangs that are still alive can pull the rhino away from the tower for that little bit longer. And as my marksman sadly goes down, gets splashed, I think the left boat should be able to go down, but that right one is a bit of a stretch. Oh, let's see. Rhino now moves into the tower. I mean, maybe we don't even take this one down. Overlord, is it going to be shooting at my Wraith? Oh, we actually get the tower debuff. And that will save the Wraith and at least allow us to take down one of the two boats. But I think that'll be about all she wrote as, yeah, the boat just one-shots my level 2 Wraith. And the Rhino survives as well. So Dillo chipping away at our hit points here. Now we enter round 6 as we are solidly in the mid-game. Efficient light manufacturing is an interesting idea, but it's a bit late. Maybe I could pick Photon emission. Perhaps a Mustang production line. But it is a bit of an expensive item. And, well, I didn't pick the Mustangs, didn't tech them. So just felt like skipping here was the better option. Reinvest into my board. I still really need some DPS. And that's exactly what we're going to get. So we're elite recruiting blue marksmen. Putting them on the outsides. Kind of hoping that they will add to the damage done to these rhinos. Dillo picks up the Photon. We'll just add bonus hit points for, I think it is 20 seconds. It is 20 seconds. We also go for another missile here on the left and the right. Idea being, I was hoping that the rhinos would catch up to the sledgehammers and then both would get hit. So we take down the sledgehammers and we also slow down the rhino. Just trying to regain some tempo here. I think it's worth the investment if I can hit this. And for now, Dillo's board is a little bit more complete than mine. I'm still on the low side of DPS and ideally I'd get some more techs in. I do manage to get the Scorching Fire on this turn, so that will help with the sledgehammers. But maybe we need some range, some double shot on the marksman. Also, Shielded Fang could be good down the line. But I have to, well, use my resources wisely and kind of think about what my best threat is currently out of all the available options. Missiles will land as expected. Don't take down all of the sledges, but at least we slow down the rhinos, and that's kind of the minimum I was hoping for. We also did give range to the Wraith, so this is why our board is taking a little bit of time to come on board, because I'm kind of doing something that normally you shouldn't do, which is utilizing multiple sources of chaff clear instead of trusting the one. So I have both Wraith and Vulcan, which are pretty expensive units in the chaff clear role. But because I got them, or I got the Wraith from the unit drop, and because I'm using the Vulcans kind of to deal with the sledgehammers as well, I think in this scenario it's fine. But it does mean that I am lacking some money, and so, yeah, we are having some trouble in the DPS department. As I say that, round 6 looks fantastic. Left side crushed, and we now send Dillo down to 1800 hit points. Round number 7, Ion Blast here looks kind of scary. Improved firepower control system is another idea, but I wasn't too happy with this. I think Ion Blast here is much, much better for my opponent than it is for me, because while my units don't really move too much, he's the one pushing into me. And, well, you can see 2 clumps of units here, right? I do go for the double barriers. I pick up the Ion Blast myself because I feel like I kind of have to. Trying to hit them in the middle, as I felt like this was easier to hit than the outsides, where I probably would miss the Rhino or the Overlord, whatever it may be. We pick up the marksman levels, obviously. Need those as our DPS. And I'm also picking up some levels here on the Vulcan, on the left side. Vulcan should at least be able to survive that Ion Blast. The right one wouldn't, but luckily he uses the Ion Blast on the left side. And we're also going for some fangs. So the reason that I put this fang all the way up here is, one, I'm trying to prevent him from missiling these fangs because they're protecting my Vulcan. And two, I was hoping this would keep these units in place a little bit so that the Ion Blast would work, right? If all of his units just keep constantly moving, it's much harder to hit this. But if I can keep them still, then I'm doing myself a favor. And well, let's see. Also, at the same time, I am kind of building up 4 shielded fangs. But with the Ion Blast now being offered, I felt like it wasn't the round to go for it, because I felt like the Ion Blast was more favored for my opponent, and so he would likely win the round. And the thing is, when you click Shielded Fang, you show your hand, right? Now, you probably will get a good round out of it, but the round after, your opponent will try and deal with the Shielded Fangs, and Dillo does run high explosive ammo on his boats. Now has them double teched, but I want to get a really big round in before he clicks this, and not show him Shielded Fang on a turn that he would likely win anyway because the spell favors him. And this is something that you should think about, right? Like, what are your options to make your board stronger, and for how many rounds is that going to benefit you? Something like Shielded Fang will be very strong the turn it comes out because your opponent has to guess it's going to come out, right? But after they see it, sometimes they will have options to deal with it. And that's why you want to try and delay it, if you can, to have a really big round. And that's what we do here. Orbital Javelin shows up, another massively powerful red spell. And Dillo takes a little bit more time. I think this time around, the spell might be a little bit better for me, as there are quite a few things to hit between the Rhino, the Overlords, the Sledges. Got plenty of targets to choose from. And, well, in this case, Dillo uses the Javelin on the right side. At least that's what I would predict, because this is a level 1 Vulcan. Level 2 can't die to the Javelin. It'll take a lot of damage, but it won't die. But the one on the right can. And so I was expecting here that he would use this on the right side. Now, he uses it a little bit further back than I would think. Perhaps he thought I would Mobile Beacon the Vulcan backwards as well, but he's not really hitting too much. Just aiming for 1 Marksman and my Farseer, from the looks of things. I'm aiming for the left level 1 Overlord and the level 2 Rhino, which now have Photon Coating, by the way. And here we go. Lots of techs being clicked by me. Double shots on the Marksman. We need the damage against the Rhinos, especially with Photon Coating now being clicked. We go for high explosive on the Stormcallers to help with chaff clear, because I sell my Vulcan on the right side expecting it to get missiled, and I need some chaff clear. And then we also click Shielded Fang. Our deployments are being used to buy a couple more Shielded Fangs. We're loaning, we take the temp range. Same thing here for Dillo. He realizes that we are in the late stages of the game. And yeah, Javelin will at least hit the boat. The Rhino with the Photon Coating will survive, but only barely. Another missile on the right side is being used. I also buy the oil, just going for that to slow things down, because obviously, again, I sold my right side Vulcan, so it's a little bit of a weak side right now, and I just want to prevent, at all costs, my opponent from getting into the tower quickly and grabbing a debuff. Left side has already been dealt with. There's nothing slowing us down there, and so we should be able to get a tower debuff. The level 3 Rhino is annoying, but the double shot is doing a great job so far. We get that debuff, 9 seconds to do as much as we can. We take down the Rhino, and that will only leave the Overlords. And with the Shielded Fangs, you can see high explosive hasn't been clicked, so the Overlords are completely helpless. They can't do anything. And that will actually be enough to seal the deal. So a nice defensive game, a bit of an odd one, of course. Normally I don't play Stormcallers that much, and I wouldn't recommend trying to do 2 things at the same time, like playing both Wraith and Vulcan, because you can get into some trouble. Now, we did have the Stormcallers early on to kind of help out with DPS, but it took us some time to get these Marksmen online, get them levels, double-teched. Well, you get the gist of it. But I think it worked out well, right? We identified correctly that the opponent would go for Wasp, and so by picking the Wraith, we don't lose too much tempo, being a turn behind and having to fix a potential Wasp problem. And then we go for the Vulcan, because it's a good unit into the Sledgehammer investment, and then we go for Marksman with double shot to try and help out with the DPS, and also, of course, have a good counter to these Overlords. The Shielded Fangs have been delayed. I was actually going for this on round 7 initially, but with the spell showing up, I thought I would lose the round, so I delayed it for 1 turn, and then we tried to go for the gut shot, which works out. I hope that you like this. If you did, please leave a thumbs up. Let me know down below what you think of this. Do you like these type of defensive videos? Are they helpful? Let me know. I am probably going to be trying to do some guides on unit counters specifically, because I've seen some people ask for that. I also am thinking about doing a series where I go through some of you guys' replays, but I'm just trying to think of the best way to do that without getting spammed by replay folders. Anyway, if you want to stay up to date with my latest content, please consider subscribing. If you want to see me play live, check me out on Twitch. And with that being said, take care, guys, and see you in the next video. Bye-bye.